In Yankee lore, few names carry the weight of Thurman Munson. He was not the loudest voice in the clubhouse, nor the flashiest player on the field. But when the New York Yankees needed a leader, it was Munson who stood tall. He became the first Yankee captain since Lou Gehrig, a title untouched for nearly 4 decades. And he earned it not through spectacle, but through grit, heart, and an unshakable will. From the moment he broke into the big leagues, Munson was different. In 1970, he claimed the Rookie of the Year award. 6 years later, he stood alone as the American League's most valuable player. He was a 7-time All-Star, a 3-time Gold Glove catcher, and the backbone of the Yankees teams that reclaimed baseball's biggest stage in 1977 and 1978. When Reggie Jackson hit his famous 3 home runs in the World Series, it was Munson who guided the pitchers, steadied the defense, and anchored the soul of the team. And yet, behind the mask and the captain's C, there was always more. Munson was a devoted family man who longed to be home in Ohio with his wife and children. That longing led him to the cockpit of a plane, a decision that would change everything. On August 2, 1979, the Yankees' heart and soul was lost in a tragic crash, sending shockwaves across the baseball world. How does one measure a life that burned so brightly, only to vanish at 32? Was Munson's greatness defined by the numbers on the back of his baseball card, or by the empty silence he left behind in Yankee Stadium that summer night? Thurman Lee Munson was born on June 7, 1947, in Akron, Ohio. He grew up in nearby Canton, a blue-collar city defined by steel, hard work, and loyalty. His father, Darrell, worked long hours in construction, while his mother, Ruth, kept the family together with quiet resilience. The Munsons were not wealthy, but they were proud, and Thurman learned early that nothing worth having came without effort. Baseball came naturally to him. As a boy, Thurman could often be found with a ball and bat in hand, turning vacant lots into his own private ballparks. He played catch with neighborhood kids until dusk painted the Ohio sky, refusing to come inside even when the streetlights blinked on. That stubborn determination, never giving in, always wanting one more swing, would come to define him. At Lehman High School, Munson's athletic gifts became undeniable. He wasn't just a baseball player, he starred in football and basketball too, embodying the toughness of Midwest competition. Yet it was baseball that pulled him most strongly. Behind the plate, he found his calling. Coaches marveled at his arm, his grit, and his leadership. He wasn't flashy, but he had a presence that made teammates believe the game was theirs to win. Munson's bond with his father played a critical role in shaping his character. Darrell demanded discipline and effort, and Thurman delivered. The lessons were not always gentle, but they carved a young man who valued responsibility, toughness, and loyalty. Those values followed him onto every field he ever stepped on. When Munson accepted a scholarship to Kent State University, it marked the first step beyond Canton. At Kent State, he refined his skills as a catcher, sharpening the instincts and toughness that would soon catch the eyes of major league scouts. In 1968, the New York Yankees selected him in the first round of the draft. The boy from Ohio, once swinging bats in empty lots, was now bound for Yankee Stadium. Behind the gruff demeanor that fans would one day see, there was always that kid from Canton, hungry, determined, and unshakably loyal to both him. Thurman Munson did not play baseball for the spotlight. He played it for victory, for respect, and for the brothers who shared the diamond with him. From the moment he put on pinstripes, it was clear he belonged not only to the New York Yankees, but to the long line of warriors who had carried that franchise through its proudest and darkest days. Munson was not a catcher who dazzled with sheer athletic flash. He was tough, rugged, and unrelenting. Behind the plate, he carried the wear and tear of every pitch, every foul tip, every collision at home plate, like badges of honor. He had a cannon arm, quick reflexes, and above all else, the courage to block the dish no matter who came barreling toward him. Pitchers trusted him, hitters feared him, and teammates leaned on him. In 1970, his first full season, Munson proved he was no ordinary rookie. Batting .302 with solid defense, he earned the Rookie of the Year award, the first Yankee to do so since Tony Kubek more than a decade earlier. He wasn't just good. He was the steady hand the Yankees needed in an era of transition. The franchise was searching for an identity after years in the shadow of its own history. Munson gave it one. By the mid-70s, Munson's reputation was cemented. In 1976, he hit .302 with 105 runs batted in, guiding the Yankees to their first World Series appearance in over a decade. That same year, he was named the American League Most Valuable Player, the first Yankee to do so since Mickey Mantle. What made that season remarkable wasn't only the numbers, but the way he carried the team. Munson was the heartbeat, the player who drove rallies with his bat and stopped opponents with his glove. His defense was elite. 3 gold gloves lined his mantle, proof of his brilliance as a field general. He handled pitchers with a quiet command, coaxing the best out of both veterans. #meta. It was Munson's presence that kept the Yankees from breaking apart. He wasn't just the catcher, he was the captain. And make no mistake, that title carried weight. In 1976, owner George Steinbrenner named him team captain, the first Yankee to hold that role since Lou Gehrig in 1939. It wasn't a ceremonial honor. It was recognition of Munson's grit, his respect in the clubhouse, and his willingness to shoulder responsibility when no one else would. In a franchise filled with legends, Munson stood as the standard-bearer of toughness and loyalty. By the end of the 1978 season, his resume spoke volumes. Rookie of the Year, Most Valuable Player, 2 championships, 7 All-Star appearances, and 3 Gold Gloves. Yet to focus only on numbers is to miss the essence of Munson. His greatness lay not just in what he achieved, but in how he achieved it. Through sacrifice, through leadership, through an unyielding devotion to both his team and his family. It seemed the Yankees had found their cornerstone for the next decade. But destiny had a different plan. For all his toughness on the field, Thurman Munson's heart always belonged at home. He was a devoted husband to Diana and a proud father to 3 young children. The demands of a Yankee season kept him away for weeks at a time, and Munson longed for a way to shorten the distance between his family in Canton, Ohio, and the bright lights of New York. That longing led him to the sky. Munson developed a passion for flying, purchasing his own Cessna Citation jet and dedicating time between games to learning the craft of aviation. To him, flying wasn't about thrill-seeking. It was about being able to finish a homestand and see his children before bedtime. About holding his family close, even while carrying the Yankees on his back. But on August 2nd, 1979, the dream turned tragic. At the Akron-Canton Regional Airport, Munson was practicing takeoffs and landings with 2 instructors aboard. Something went wrong on descent. The plane fell short of the runway, crashing into a field and erupting in flames. The instructors survived. Thurman Munson did not. He was just 32 years old. The news hit like a thunderclap across the baseball world. That night, the Yankees played the Baltimore Orioles. Yankee Stadium fell into silence as the crowd rose, heads bowed, mourning their captain. Players wept openly in the dugout. For the first time in years, the game itself felt irrelevant. Days later, the entire Yankees roster boarded flights to Ohio to attend Munson's funeral. They wore their pinstripes not as a uniform, but as a symbol of unity, grief, and respect. Lou Piniella sobbed uncontrollably. Reggie Jackson, often at odds with Munson in the press, stood stone-faced, gutted by the loss. George Steinbrenner called him the Rock of the Yankees. In that moment, it was clear. Thurman Munson wasn't just another ball player. He was family. The image of an empty catcher's box in Yankee Stadium lingered long after. Fans left flowers, jerseys, and handwritten letters. In every corner of baseball, Thurman Munson's story did not end in that Ohio field. His memory lives on in pinstripes, in the echoes of Yankee Stadium, and in the hearts of those who watched him play. More than 4 decades later, his name still carries a weight that statistics alone cannot measure. Munson was the bridge between eras, the captain who brought stability to a franchise clawing its way back to glory. He was the steady hand behind the plate during the chaos of the late 1970s Yankees, a presence that made legends out of pitchers and held together a clubhouse full of egos. His leadership was not loud, but it was absolute. The Yankees did not name another captain for nearly 20 years after his passing. It wasn't until Derek Jeter emerged in the mid-90s that the title was passed on. In many ways, Jeter's quiet dignity and relentless drive mirrored Munson's. The long gap between captains was no accident. It was reverence. No one could fill the void Thurman Munson left behind. His legacy is also deeply personal. He is remembered not just as a ball player, but as a man who fought to balance the game he loved with the family he cherished. The image of Munson rushing from the clubhouse to board his plane, desperate to spend even a few hours with his children, remains a testament to his priorities. He was a warrior between the foul lines, but at heart, he was simply Dad. At Yankee Stadium, a plaque honors him in Monument Park. His number 15 was retired, never to be worn again. Each summer, fans still gather to remember the captain who left too soon. And in every catcher who throws off the mask and takes command of the field, there is a flicker of Thurman Munson's spirit, unyielding, courageous, and selfless. Thurman Munson was more than a stat line. He was more than a title. He was proof that greatness comes not only from talent, but from heart. His life ended at 32, but his presence has never faded. In the roar of Yankee Stadium, in the silence of his absence,